Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. Boys and girls, have yourself a seat. We got new Q posts to do. I've been covering this actually for the last 2 hours, only to have the entire video ruined by these new posts that ended up replacing the old post and took everything out of sequence. So forgive me if I'm a little bit dismissive on a couple of these things. We're going to move real quick and try to get to the meat of the matter. We're going to pick you up at 36:37, 43 minutes after the hour of 11, where we see just start. Now, I want you to notice that we don't see an identifying trip code just as of yet. Now, CodeMonkey got on 8kun.net and posted this. Trip code whitelist has been re-enabled. Only Q can post with the trip code at current. Meaning that if you go over to 8kun and you're trying to post and you're not able to, that's why. Because of this salt rotation reset, all the trip codes got basically wiped out. And so Q's trip code is going to be the only thing that's whitelisted. That way, the only thing that posts on this board should be Q. All right. So that's where we start. Now let's move on to 36:38. 15 minutes after the hour 12. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to read through all this. This just got posted. We get the idea. We're talking about treason here. And Q defines treason. And as you can see, it's a little bit of long text there, but you get the idea. We are talking about some serious business. I will point this out though. If 2 or more persons conspire to commit any offense named in this section, each shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both, and shall be ineligible for employment by the United States or any department or agency thereof for the 5 years next following his conviction. So like I said, I will let you read that right there, but we definitely know we are talking about some treasonous activities. Now, this was actually the first post that I got this morning, was 36:39. And this is where we start to see the Q proofs. This comes in at 55 minutes after the hour of 12. And yes, this time and date may be different. You're going to see why it doesn't really matter. The important thing is that it came in at 55 minutes after the hour and 59 seconds. And now we do see the trip code, which is this right here. Q says trip configuration. Now, just a minute later, we see a tweet from the POTUS. The Republican Party has never been so united. This impeachment scam is just a continuation of the 3-year witch hunt, but is only bringing us even closer together. And as you can see, the timestamp there is 12:56. Wow, that's just seconds after that Q post. Now, some of you are saying, Patrick, your date and your time is different. Are you from the future? Yeah, Patriot, I am. I'm from the future. Let me show you from another time zone. We see on the left here, 9:55 and 59 seconds. We see the Q post. On the right, we see the POTUS tweet at 9:56 a.m., just seconds later. So it's almost like you could be in any time zone and you'll still be able to get the idea. Make sense? Yeah, I think it does. So anytime we see a Q proof, for those of you who are new, it's going to usually be the POTUS or whoever it is posting after Q. Q always has to post first. Otherwise, you're not really going to get the same validity there. And that's what we're seeing here. We are seeing a very close proximity to the POTUS. Now, let's move on to 36:40. And this is where Q starts explaining what I just explained to you. This one comes in at 58 minutes after the hour 12. We get the status that I just showed you to the POTUS, referencing that tweet right there. And then Q is saying here, trip identification Delta 1, meaning 1 minute later. Delta meaning later, okay? So that POTUS tweet came in 1 minute later. Almost looks like 1 second later. We don't really know, but it's very, very precise. To even get it a minute later is extremely precise. And that's how we've known that many of these Q posts coming in close proximity to the president shows their close proximity to the president. That's the only way we can really identify Q as Q. But this is the new trip code now, and we do start to see that these should be Q posting, right? Now we see this even further in 3641, 7 minutes after the hour of 1. We see the graphic that I just showed you there. And as you can see, it doesn't matter what time zone you're in, it should still make sense, right? And we see a very, very curious thing. I'm going to look into this identifier here below the picture here. This is a very, very long and very curious set of numbers here. It says B right here, so I may have to go check that out later. But Q is confirming. Trip confirmed. Relay 1 through 99. Now I'm starting to think that maybe this is operating off of a relay switch. And let me show you a little picture of one for sale here off of eBay. You can see a relay 1 through 99. This is usually used for circuits and telegraphs back in the day when you had multiple circuits coming from a source. And now they use it electromagnets to operate these. But that would make sense as to why some of these tweets and posts are so precise. It could very well be that it's operating off of a relay. It would be very, very difficult for these to be so coordinated so closely together. But that's just my guess. You can let me know what you think. Let's move on to 3642. We see another set of proofs here with this picture of the executive order pen, the watch, and the notebook. And the title of the picture is Identity Confirmation. Q says trip confirmed too. This looks to be the second confirmation. The 1 minute Delta tweet that I just showed you being the first. And then again, relay 1 through 99. And I'm really starting to think that this kind of precise movement would only be the shutting on and off of a relay switch. Could very well be possible. It would seem to explain a lot of things. But either way, we get more proofs. Now, if you remember post 3627 from the 25th of November, Q mentioned that this was going to happen. Future trip codes re-verified, meaning that they knew about the salt rotation, they knew their trip code would get wiped out, and that they knew that they were going to have to show probably photo sets and multiple Q proofs, which is what we're going through today. Part of that was going to be part of a photo set, and I talked about it last week then too during that time, saying that we were going to see probably photos of photo sets, meaning that older Q pictures that were used as proofs, we're going to see additional pictures that were included in that photo set or something like it to kind of let us know that this is indeed Q. Now, one of them being, of course, that notebook, the pen, which is used to sign executive orders, which thanks to Julian's Rum, who pointed out on Twitter that that's actually like an electric pen, which is kind of cool. And then, of course, the watch, which we've seen before. We don't really know who the watch belongs to. We have some suspicions or whatever. And sometimes that turns us on to corresponding markers, dates, etc., etc. In this particular case, it's set to 1:30 on the 2nd. And I see my post at 1:31. Your time might be different, but you see the idea. We're, again, very, very close proximity with the time. Now, I blew the picture up here so we can take a look at a couple of things here. If you notice down below the bottom part of the watch band where it meets the metal, we see a reflection right between 6 and 7 o'clock. We can see a reflection of what appears to be the person taking the picture. Right around where the 7 is, you can see what looks to be a reflection of a cell phone and a hand. You can see the finger right there extending from there. Looks like they're shooting it vertically, just saying. Anyway, you also see another reflection over here by the 4, where you can see the reflection of the body in the bottom button here. Now there's a bit of a light reflection over this way and a light reflection over here, which suggests to me that the window is coming from the right side. And then there's a reflection over here between 4 and 5, what almost kind of looks kind of a strange little structure here. I don't know. It almost looks like that atomium structure in Brussels, which is odd because that's in Brussels and POTUS is actually in London. But either way, there you go. There is the reflection of the person taking the picture. Post 3643, 54 minutes after the hour of 1, Q takes us back to post 309 from the 9th of December 2017. I know, that's nearly 2 years ago. Well, we do know that the FISA D class is supposed to be coming out on the 9th, right? We've talked about this. And then, of course, YouTube policies are changing on the 10th. And then we have the IG on the 11th, right? We've known about this. Is it possible that Q has known about this 2 years in advance. Very possibly, this is announced as justice marker. Q just simply says justice. Well, we were probably expecting different things 2 years ago, but we might be expecting different things now at this point. And remember, Q all along has said future proves past. So this is starting to suggest to me a real sense of precision. And like I was suggesting in regards to the relay switch, I'm talking military precision to the point where it very well may be possible that all these posts were already arranged with POTUS tweets, set up, and maybe even operating off a relay switch. I don't know that to be true, but it could be something like that that would be so precise as to be able to predict future proves past. But either way, Q is suggesting that 2 years ago, something might be suggesting something that's coming up, because we know that December 9th is coming up. Big things should be happening. Is it possible this was all set up and that this was all operating off of some sort of clock? It seems to suggest that somehow, but you can let me know. But either way, we are talking about military precision. Let's move on. Post 3644, 29 minutes after the hour 3, we get a little graphic here showing these 3 clods. Let me explain them to you. Sergey Brin on the left, co-founder of Google, president of Alphabet Incorporated. Net worth $49.5 billion. Yeah, and he sells himself as this immigrant. His parents were immigrants and they were escaping persecution and whatnot. And now he runs the largest database center in the world, and they persecute you because he's a victim. He used to be married to Ann Wojcicki, not anymore, but used to be married to Ann Wojcicki, co-founder of 23andMe. They are one of those DNA databases that take a swab of your DNA. In their particular case, they will tell you based on your DNA what kind of diseases you might be predisposed to and what kind of medicines might be good for you to take, so on and so forth. There are other ones that have different functions, like the heritage one that tells you where you're from and whatever. But just remember that you're giving them your ultimate form of data, which is your DNA. And of course, her sister is this jerk face right here who single-handedly ruined YouTube, Susan Wojcicki. Yeah. That's Susan Wojcicki, who is right now burning down YouTube as we speak. And as you can see, she's worth a bit of coin too. But the point is that we're showing this incestuous nature in all this. And they all 3 have one in common, right? They all share and take your data. They take your data and they share it with others. They sell it to others, and they decide what you can or cannot see. One of them being some video that I had to leave out yesterday. And I want to point this out in regards to this London attack, because my inbox got flooded with it, and rightfully so. But this guy that we talked about, Usman Khan, this guy who's totally not a terrorist, who got fended off with a narwhal tusk on London Bridge yesterday. We talked about it in our video. This guy, there's a video of him actually getting up. Now, I can't show it to you because they're scrubbing it, but I do have it saved away for a rainy day. Many of you saw it, but there is some extra video of him laying there on the bridge, laying there dead, and then all of a sudden he gets up and walks away. Don't forget, he's on probation. He's got to make it to hell or high water. You got to make it to probation. But anyway, and then there's, of course, another video of the guy that was walking away with this knife that was not bloody, the guy that took it away from the attacker, and he pulled out a handkerchief. And in yesterday's video, I showed it just as he was pulling it out, and they cut it off. But of course, there's extra video showing that he threw it away. We knew this was all bunk, right? But anyway, people like these 3 right here are the ones that keep you from being able to see some of that stuff and basically block people like myself for sharing it and turning us into the enemy, when the fact of the matter is that these dummies are the real enemy. Well, the Twitter status takes you over here to methods over there on Twitter. 60 Minutes went after QAnon tonight, and I showed you this video yesterday, so we're not going to go through it. There's Susan Wojcicki right there, and she's talking about, the word they used was, we're cutting back. We're cutting back like they're doing us a favor, like they're cutting our calories, for us, because Susan Wojcicki knows better what to watch than you do. She knows. She's authoritative, because she's Ann Wojcicki's sister, I guess. Anyway, you get the idea. They were going after QAnon, and Q says, why are the largest media companies in the world constantly attacking this so-called conspiracy? Because we're the only ones getting the news right. Right? We're the only ones getting this right. And all these knuckleheads are doing are basically just covering up for their elite knucklehead counterparts that they work for. They're puppet masters. Now, this second link here takes you to Bing, and you can see all the different searches here. And Every single one of them talks about how QAnon is a conspiracy theory. Never mind anybody's actual Q post. They don't cite Q post. They can't do that. They have to talk about how it's a QAnon conspiracy theory. And if there's one thing that they all have in common is that they don't actually reference Q, just like all these Q debunkers that are out there. They don't reference QAnon because if they did that, they'd have to show that it might be some validity to it. Instead, what they do is they pick out people and try to make them look crazy and whatnot, and call it a fringe conspiracy. You get the idea. This is the whole point, and the censorship is most certainly coming to a head as we're talking. People awake equal greatest fear. Information warfare. We've seen that before. Information warfare, and that's indeed what it is. And this is a good time to remind you that if you have not subscribed to one of my alternate channels, you're going to want to do that, because come the 10th, it's probably going to be straight up war, and I am not a friend of Susan Wojcicki. Let's move on. Post 3645, 45 minutes after the hour of 6, we get what looks to be another Q proof here. This is another picture from London, which appears to be part of a larger photo set that we've talked about. We are guessing it's right around 2015. Now, keep in mind, Lisa Page said she had only gone once, and that appears to not have been the case. We suspected that the people featured in this photo set were Lisa Page, Peter Strzok, and we're not really sure who the other ones were, but there were a few others in this picture. But they were going along the river, and they were taking a left into the Corinthia Hotel. The Corinthia Hotel has long been suspected to be an MI6 headquarters, and that's not just because of QAnon. Hollywood has promulgated this theory for a long time too. The premiere of the movie Red Sparrow, which has been mentioned in Q Post, also was held at the Corinthia Hotel. That's a completely different story, but that's where they were headed. And the picture is even entitled Lisa MI6. Q says, be ready, Anons, public awakening coming. So for those of you who are newer to QAnon, if you go back, you'll see that there's a larger photo set of pictures just like this. They're taking it from a security cam near the Corinthia Hotel, right by the bridge there. This is all kind of along the water, and it looks like our group was turning left and crossing the street into the Corinthia Hotel. Now we're getting information coming out about Lisa Page, and we can tell this because Lisa Page is done being quiet. Yep, she did an interview. And with all people she did an interview with, she did it with the Daily Beast, because they're the most trusted name in news. We're not going to read this because it's trash, but we're going to read part of it here. I want to just take you about halfway down where it says, she is also about to be back in the news cycle in a big way, so they know it's coming. On December 9th, the Justice Department Inspector General report into Trump's charges that the FBI spied on his 2016 campaign will come out. Leaked press accounts indicate the report will exonerate Page of the allegation that she acted unprofessionally or showed bias against Trump. And I want to stop there real quick. First of all, I'm not even going to cover anything that we're expecting to see in this report until it comes out. Anything that's coming out right now is fake news and is just leaks trying to get out in front of the story. I don't know that this is going to exonerate Page. Now, maybe we're all going to get surprised and maybe it'll be a big disappointment, but I don't know. But either way, I'm not even going to comment because anything coming out at this point has probably very little to do with the actual report. But the point is that they know it's going to come out. Now, this is probably going to be more text messages because we know there's more coming between her and Peter Strzok, whom I don't really believe was actually her lover. I believe that was a little bit of a cover. I'm flashing you part of a set of communications that kind of suggest my theory there. As you can see, there's part of a conversation where they're kind of talking back and forth using this idea that that was kind of a cover there. But I'm not so sure. I really think Peter Strzok was really probably more the handler here and Lisa Page was simply doing the bidding. Let me skip you down 2 more paragraphs. Page 39 is thin and athletic. She speaks in an exceedingly confident, clear, and lawyerly way, but having been through the MAGA meat grinder has clearly worn her down. Not unlike the other women I've met who've been subjected to the president's abuse, she is just slightly crumbly around the edges the way the president's other victims are. Okay, so you can see something's big is dropping on the 9th, and Lisa Page is getting out in front of it by going to the Daily Beast, which is trash. And on a side note, Ben Collins sucks. Post 3646, 55 minutes after the hour of 6, Q says, Anons, why would we provide the date of the FISA release? Logical thinking, ammunition is finite. Well, there's lots to think about here, but I've maintained on this channel for quite some time that the threat of the FISA is almost worse because you don't know when it's coming. So you don't really know how to combat it. So what you end up doing is spending all your ammunition trying to combat it, which is exactly what we just saw here with Lisa Page. She's trying to get out in front of something that she knows is coming. She may not know exactly what's coming, but she knows exactly what she did. So she's going to get out to the Daily Beast and start crying, right? And of course, we see this in all kinds of ways, shapes, and forms, whether it's a false flag event, whether it's an interview, whether it is a news release, whether it's a banning of somebody on social media. There's all kinds of activities that they'll take. Who knows? Maybe Hillary Clinton is going to decide that somebody is not feeling so well and they're going to go kill themselves. You never know what could happen, but their ammunition is finite. Now, this time last year was right around the time, I believe it's even tomorrow, was when we lost George W. Bush. And of course, we had dog tweets that kind of signified that. I'm not going to go into all that, but there was a ton of that going on. And that's kind of what kicked around this whole dog thing to begin with. And this was to also avoid a release, right? This is when we were talking about the investigation into Comey and whatnot. So this is what they do. And so we can imagine that when we know something big is going to come up, usually something in order to postpone it will also come up. And we've seen this a couple of times. We saw it with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who, by the way, was just recently released from the hospital. Now, that very well could be a possibility that a public announcement comes out. We know her health has been really, really bad. And it seems like she's in and out of the hospital, yet she still seems to keep on ticking. Okay. Well, that's one choice. I suppose another one could be our boy Jimmy Carter, who just recently, as a matter of hours ago, was admitted to the hospital for an infection. So it seems like almost kismet-like timing, right? Now, I also want to point out one third possibility that I think could be very possible, and I mentioned it yesterday in regards to the whole London Bridge incident. If you watched my video yesterday entitled Narwhal 2, we were talking about how the key term for the death of the Queen would be London Bridge, and here we had what clearly seems to be this staged event happening on London Bridge. I'm not so sure that they would just say the words London Bridge, right? But we know that this whole setup seemed to be fake. We knew this guy was throwing away this handkerchief. I mean, it just seemed like a whole bunch of symbolism being passed back and forth. Was this a sign that we could indeed be losing the Queen? I don't really know. But we do know that all three of these people are old. We do know that their time could be coming, and we do know that they're wrapped up in some knuckleheadedry. Now, I just want to cruise you through some posts on Twitter here. I don't know all of these. I just basically typed in the keyword Queen Elizabeth dead, and as you will see, the Twitter sphere is aflutter with Queen Elizabeth found dead stuff. This here claims to be some news. Queen Elizabeth found dead in Buckingham Palace after being declared fit for work. And so a lot of it is just obviously comedy. People are joking about it, but I find it very, very strange. This one says, breaking news, Queen Elizabeth II is dead and passes her throne to none other than her grandchild, Vivienne Westbrook. So it's a bunch of mess, right? But it's a little bit funny, but people are definitely joking about this. Now, we don't really know. She's 94, and I just showed you this article from yesterday from Elle magazine talking about the possibilities and what they would do if and when she does pass away. So is this indeed a reality? I don't really know. I just want to show you how nuts everyone is going on Twitter. And of course, most of it is just pure comedy. But I did show you yesterday the relationship with her mother owning one of these narwhal tusks. And of course, that's how this would-be attacker on London Bridge was stopped, with a narwhal tusk. So there were a lot of nods to Queen Elizabeth. Is she indeed going to be the next one to go? I don't really know. I don't want to be super cryptic about that. I think that's really, really strange. But I do want to point this out in regards to events like what we've seen to kind of prevent, whether it's the FISA D-class release, the IG report, whatever it is. Whenever these knuckleheads want to delay something, it seems like they're willing to go pretty far. And we saw this even with George Bush when he passed away right around this time last year. It seemed to be also kind of putting something else off, right? So are we going to see something happen in the next couple days? I don't really know, but my whole point to all this is that I would guess that if any of these people would really delay an impending release of something, Queen Elizabeth would be the most likely. And the reason being is because we've seen this before. Jimmy Carter, of course, being an American president, could very well delay a release. But Queen Elizabeth would be international. And so if something went on anyway, despite her death, it would seem like it was really insensitive, right? And that it must be postponed. So just an idea that I'm throwing out there, but as you can see, the Twitter sphere is going nuts over Queen Elizabeth. All right, Patriots, those are your Q posts for now. I'm going to leave you with this. I posted this would have been last night for me. Do you see what I see it?
Gotta see it.
It does gotta see it. It's a whole bunch of see it's. Now, what I did is I took a little bit of a video that was posted by Melania Trump. As you know, she did a whole bunch of stuff with the White House decorations and made a cool video. Now, I don't want to play that with you because I'm afraid to get hit with a copyright for music. I'm literally that afraid these days about posting stuff. But if you want to see the entire video, I highly suggest it because there's a lot of little cool Easter eggs in there. And there's some ones that I didn't probably put in this video. Now, this quick little video, I did show you a couple that I found, but a few of you added some others. For example, you'll see a spot where she is adding, Melania Trump is adding wreaths to this little miniature White House. And it looks to be that she is adding the 23rd wreath. Another one pointed out that there were some chairs that were adjusted a little weird. There's a little screenshot of it right there at the 27 second mark. That is the original video of Melania Trump, but I made my own and I want you to check it out. But I am going to let you go on that video. So as always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Please understand, like we've just been talking about, on the 10th, it is probably all going to go down. So please join me on one of my alternate platforms, which are all down below. My Gab, my BitChute, my Brighteon, and my DropSpace are all still working. And for now, at least, I'm still on Twitter if you want to join me there. All those links are down below in the video description. All right, kids, this is Sir Patrick Mack. I'm going to leave you out on this video. Stay funky.